Hello. Carol, are you back for more? um, I know some people do two back to back, and I'm doing two back to back when I'm here. So um, that's good if you are. And who else is here? I know my regular balance people. Let's see if they pop in. Um, let's see if they show up soon. So here we are, yoga for balance. Um, this is my class that I've been very all over the place with, I guess. This is the one I've canceled quite often. And so I think there's been some issues with people knowing when I'm doing it, when I'm not. So let's see what happens. Carol, how you feeling? And then who else? Let's see if anyone else is going to show up to join us today. And let's see. Hopefully, Hamilton will not be bothering us, meowing, and trying to get out. All right. So once I move away, it's harder for me to see. And here we are. Here we are. Lauren. Oh, this is a new class for you. Okay. Um, yes, in my 6 years at the hospital, it seems like every year I added a new class. I don't I'm I don't know, whenever something came to my attention, I started to focus on something different or new, and so I started to add new classes. And then I think also as I was teaching for a longer period of time, I started to become aware of aspects that I thought were really important, especially as we age. And for myself, when I was experiencing all my hip issues before my hip replacement, and then even when I had my hip replacement, just experiencing in my body certain things, balance became something that I felt was so important. And what I noticed is that as we age, that seems to be something that sneaks up on people. And um, when someone gets a diagnosis of osteoporosis, which is half of the population has bone density issues over age 50, the fear of falling becomes so profound. And then the statistics that we hear about all of that really put a lot of fear into us. So even if you don't have a diagnosis of osteoporosis, the aspect or the potential to fall gets greater as we age. And so balance becomes such a big part of the aging process. And that's something that I really became very aware of in my teachings. And then when my sister and I took my parents to Scotland, and my dad was in his late, no, he was actually 90, and my mother was in her late 70s. I remember for we were always worried about them falling, and I think that that's something that fear of falling and causing damage to your body is become so profound in all of us as we age, or most of us as we age. So the what I share in my yoga for balance class is aspects of that. Either the raised awareness around what is happening with balance, and then either focusing on stretching the tissue so that you allow the communication aspect of balance, which is happening through the nervous system and the muscles, or in the brain, so from the feet to the brain, or in the actual challenging yourself and strengthening certain muscles that are used more often in balance. Because balance is actually occurring everywhere, all over the body. And it's occurring, our ears are part of our balance, our eyes are part of our balance. There's so many parts of us that are about balance, and it's not just about standing on one foot. So, just getting into a lot of different aspects of that in this class. Today, I'd like to focus on the trunk support that is a contributing factor towards having better balance and making sure that, especially that core is strong, but really having that nice spinal alignment and having that strength in the torso so that when you are standing on different surfaces that may be uneven or on one foot, that you actually have that strength in your torso in particular. Okay, so let's go on to the floor. Let's begin by balancing our energetics from human doing to human being, and from activity to getting everything to come to this place and to this moment inside the body. So let's come back onto our mats, bringing yourself back to your mat. I like to put a bolster underneath my legs. If there's a preferred way that you would like, actually, we're not going to put our bolster underneath our legs. We're going to use our bolster or our blanket for actually moving the spine. So I have a bolster. Some of you may not have a bolster. And if you don't have a bolster, you could take a blanket or two and fold it like that and stack it on top of each other. And that could be in place of a bolster. I'll do it with the bolster for those of you that have one. If you're going to use a bolster, you will need a block because it's a pretty big opener. And if you don't have the bolster, it's going to be. Oops, let me turn on the music. Sorry, I didn't turn on my sound. So the important thing here, though, and I'm not with you, so hopefully I can get you to really focus on this. The important thing is that the placement of the bolster or the blanket. And that's what gets tricky. Let me put some music on to hold the space of my speaker. Okay. So the important thing is that the part of your spine we want to manipulate with the bolster or the blankets is right where the heart is. It's not in the upper back where the neck is. So I don't know if you could see this. The bolster, there's a space on my upper back that does not have a bolster. So the bolster is, or blankets if they're folded, is right where the heart is. So you're going to get this nice supported extension position to come into your thoracic spine. And your knees are bent. Keep the knees bent here for this. The knees are bent and the arms are to the side. And you're going to decide how low you can go with your head. So you're trying to get a support of this shape into your body, which is called extension. So if you think about the Hunchback of Notre Dame, that would be a flexion position in the spine, and we want the opposite of that. So here we're looking for a supported extension position in the body. The arms are out to the side, the knees are bent, the feet are flat. And I like to start out with bent knees when you're doing a lot to your spine. Starting out with bent knees will not put too much pressure on the lumbar spine, because the lumbar spine is for stability and support. So it's always trying to find stability in your body. And right now we're actually trying to stretch a part of the spine in a way that it's not normally being stretched. So find this in your body and then bring your arms out to the side. Make sure your neck is nice and long. So find space in the neck. And then close your eyes. The feet are wider than the body and the knees are falling in towards each other for a little relaxation in the low back. Pressing the arms into the floor, or if you have a bolster, having your arms up over that bolster. And then when we have something behind this upper part of our spine, it could bring your awareness now down to the belly. So from the lower ribs down to the soft part of the belly. You could feel the difference between having manipulation of the rib cage and feel the rib cage, and then notice that soft belly aspect, soft part of the belly. So bring your breath deep into the body, down to the belly, to the lower ribs and below. Keeping the eyes closed, the tongue is resting where the teeth and the roof of the mouth meet. And then bringing your awareness to your breath as you notice the breath is moving down from the lower ribs to the belly. Lengthening your lungs and fully oxygenating the lungs as you feel the diaphragm work. Feeling the belly rise as the diaphragm draws the breath deep into the lungs. Working on balancing the breath. And keep your awareness in your body. Keep your awareness at your lower ribs. Breathing into the lower ribs, feel the belly move. And we're gonna work on extending the exhalation. And extending the exhale will help to balance the nervous system, stimulating the relaxation, repairing, and healing zone, which we need to spend a little more time in this area. And more often than not, we're in the other part of the nervous system, the sympathetic branch. So I'm going to count 3 on the inhale and 6 on the exhale. I'll do a couple of rounds of this and then let you go on your own to count. And if this doesn't work for you, you can go to a different pace. Try to make the exhale last longer than the inhale. So wherever you are, let's take a breath to clear. Inhale and exhale. And then begin. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue on your own. Count in your head. Feel the breath coming into the body. stay with this, feeling, counting. Stay with your breath, stay with counting, doubling the exhale to the inhale, sending a signal to the nervous system that everything is okay and that it can go into the relaxation, healing, repairing zone. So, balancing the nervous system with breath. And wherever you are, finish the breath you're on. Take 3 more breaths like this, counting, doubling the exhale in relationship to the inhalation. Breathing down to the lower ribs, letting the belly rise and fall. And then finishing up that last breath, let your breath go back to the body to breathe you, back to the autonomic aspect, letting your body be breathed and guided by your own settings. And when we practice extending the exhale, when we practice slowing down and bringing our awareness to the breath, we can actually have an effect on the settings of the body. And we know this because chronic stress leads to so many illnesses, almost all illness. And this is the antidote, the opposite is creating a new tone, a new set point, and a new autonomic aspect of your breath. By slowing down and doubling the exhale in relationship to the inhale, bringing your awareness to your fingers and your toes. You're going to start to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Let your arms go overhead if that's available to you. Feel the stretch. Feel how the bolster or the blankets, whatever you have underneath your back, helps. And take the legs to a straight position here. Just feel what you feel. Notice what you notice. And hopefully you've chosen something to go underneath your chest so you feel a nice big stretch on your body. Take one more breath. And you're going to bend your knees. You're going to roll onto your right side. And it would be nice if you rolled all the way off of the support. So if you have a bolster, push the bolster to the side. And if you have blankets, roll off of them. Every day, every habitual pattern we do, whether that's sitting or standing or movement patterns, the way we sleep, the way we sit, all of that eventually leads to certain kind of held patterns in the body. So when we're practicing today, and when we just did that, I want you to go into your body awareness to feel where you have tightness, to see where you need to stretch, and then start to notice what is the balance like in your body in terms of your postural balance. Take your left hand on the floor in front of you, then you look down towards the ground and you push yourself away from the floor to bring yourself up to seated. Because yoga is a self-healing practice, raising your body awareness to the way you are held or the way your body is functioning. So noticing your breath pattern, your breath rate, is it normally fast paced? They do say that 80 to 90% of all illness is related to stress. And if the body's in the sympathetic stimulation zone in the body, the breath will be quicker and more shallow. So what we did now, bringing that breath in deep and then counting so that we extended the exhalation, is a signal to the body that it can go into the parasympathetic branch. And when I asked you at the end to reach your hands overhead, developing your own body awareness and sense of where you may be tight, noticing if you feel it on one side only, or do you feel it equal. So today that's going to be a big theme for the class, is that you notice the balance of your physical body in terms of tightness and strength or weakness, just trying to always notice where you are. And then we will get to a point where we stand up and we actually pay better attention to the actual wobbly part, the nervous system aspect of the balance. So we're going to work on that core strength, focusing on the torso, since so much of your balance strength comes from around that midsection of the body. So I'd like you for today's class to have handy a block and a blanket. And I just want to see who else may have joined us. Oh, Athena is here. Hi, Athena. Welcome. Okay, so you're going to have your blanket handy, have your block handy, and then you're going to come onto your tushy. Because we are going to work with the core, I want us to bring our awareness to this part of our body and feel that part of our body working. Let's stretch our front torso first so we can have real good receptivity. Bring your feet onto the floor wherever they go. And I'd like the fingers to be pointed forward if you can, so that you can really slide the shoulder blades towards each other and make yourself very narrow on the front of your body. And of course, if this is not appropriate for you, if you need to have your hands to the side or some other position, you can do that. If you can point them forward, I'd like them to be pointed forward. Let me see, actually. Yeah, because that's too much tension on the wrist joint. For some who don't have that, when you come up, if you were in complete external rotation, there's so much spiraling of the lower arm bones to load on them. So that's the reason for having it forward. You're going to push your feet into the floor, take an inhale here. And then you're going to take an exhale, let the knees move away from you, lift the pelvis off the floor, feel that stretch on the front of the shoulders, and then you're going to inhale to lower. Exhale to bring yourself up. Inhale to lower. Exhale to bring yourself up. Push your hands into the floor, push your feet into the floor, lift your pelvis up, trying to come to a even body if you can with no hip flexion. And of course, that's if you can. This is number 4. We're going to hold on number 5. Inhale to lower. And then exhale, push your hands into the floor, lift yourself up, stay here. We're stretching the chest area and the shoulder joint area where a lot of the nerves come off of the neck to the fingers, to the hands, to the arms. Take one more breath. And then you're going to exhale to lower. So creating, stretching your body glove to maximize that transmission of the nerves throughout the body. We're going to come into a Navasana bridge pose to heat up that core section and to feel the core. So you're going to hold on to the front of your shins, do a little rocking action on your pelvic bones. This is actually the base of your spine down here, your coccyx, and your coccyx. I don't know, always hard for me to say that one. And then your sacral area. Let's come into a balance position here. So you're actually balancing here on your tailbone. Then you're going to bring your hands underneath, lifting your legs up. So with that core, you're going to hug your lumbar spine with your belly area. So the lumbar spine is the lower back. Can you draw from all the way around the back, the sides, lifting up from the bottom and pressing the lower ribs towards the spine to really contract and hug your lumbar spine. If you can come with your hands off, taking deep breaths here, balancing on the base of the spine, contracting the core. Notice what you notice in your body if you notice one side versus the other. And then press your heart up towards the sky so there's no rounding in the upper spine. Be nice and proud here with your chest, with your heart, pressing your heart up forward, feeling that tension in the quadriceps and the hip flexor muscles in that core area. Take one more breath. And then you're going to bring yourself, feet are on the floor. We're going to come onto the floor, do a little bit more work there. If you have osteoporosis, you may want to reach to the side, reach your arm away, and keep your upper spine nice and flat as you lower down. And then if you don't, you can actually come through a flexion in the spine, flexing the lower lumbar first. Feel your body pressing from the tailbone to the sacrum to the low back and then to the lower ribs, and then the rest of the rib cage comes on the floor. Keep your blanket underneath the head, not the upper back. So if it is on your upper back, pull it up so it's only supporting your head and try to make it be as low as you can handle. This is going to stretch the upper back, depending on what you've got going on in your body posturally in the upper back. Take your arms overhead, take your legs nice and long here, and let's point the feet to try to touch the floor, reaching the hands above you. Then you're going to flex one foot, point the other, flex one foot, point the other. See if you can notice anything in your body. May feel tighter on one side. Just notice what you notice. Then we're going to do a little hip. So we're going to move one hip up. So one hip bone and one shoulder lift up and lengthen, and the other one pushes away from you, and then you switch. So let one hip bone and one shoulder lift higher, and then switch. It's a shimmying of the hips. It's one of the ways the pelvis moves up and down in the pelvis. The legs stay straight. You'll feel your hip bones. It's not a big movement. One hip bone moves up, one hip slides up, and then the other. Stretching those deep ligaments, tendons, muscles in the hip area. And it's a pelvic movement. There's 3 different positions the pelvis moves in. This is one of them. Up and down. And then let's go ahead and bend our feet, play with the other positions of the pelvis since I was speaking about that. There's 3 different ways, okay? So if we were to place belly go away from the sky, up towards the sky, the marble will roll down. And then as you contract your core, posteriorly tilt your pelvis. This is a posterior anterior tilt. The marble goes back towards the belly button. You're going to inhale, let the low back come away from the floor, let the marble roll down towards the pubis bone, and then exhale, contract, letting the marble float back up towards the belly button. Inhale. So the marble's going forward and backward, forward, up and down along the front. And this is a posterior and an anterior tilting of the pelvis. Anterior is when the low back comes away from the floor, and then posterior is when the back flattens on the floor. That's one. The other one was this up and down. So here with the knees bent, can you feel this? Let one waist get shorter as the top of the pelvis moves closer to the lower ribs. And then on the other side, the other top of the pelvis comes closer to those lower ribs. So you're what you're and you feel your sacrum on the floor, you're moving from side to side. And then the other way is one hip bone goes up towards the sky, one hip bone goes down, and then like this, like a teeter totter. So if the center of your body right here was a teeter totter, right side could go down, left side goes up, and then right side up, left side down. So feel that, the teeter totter. Feel yourself rocking through. So try to let it be just pelvis without the legs moving. It's a very small movement. You may feel some stuff stretching in your body, you may not. And then I'd like you to notice the sacrum is what you're resting on. Notice if you feel anything at the sacral area, because this is going to pull on the muscles that are attached to that sacroiliac joint area. And you may notice something there, especially for those of you that are pretty body aware. Bring yourself back to center. Let's take one hand on one knee, the other on the other. So I feel a lot when I do all of that. I know all of those movements, so I'm able to really articulate deeply in each one of those. I'm not sure if you were able to feel all of that. Um, just really good to have that body awareness, especially when you start to notice asymmetry in your body. You're going to keep your hands on your knees. You're going to inhale here. And then as you exhale, you're going to draw your knees in towards your chest. Feel that low back flatten. And then inhale to straighten. Exhale to bend the knees in. Inhale to straighten. Exhale, knees come in. Inhale to straighten. And then exhale, bring your knees in. Let's hold on to our knees. Let's rock back and forth, side to side. And then go ahead and bring your feet onto the floor. I'd like to do some core strengthening here. Let's bring the knees in, the legs in. Take the block in between the legs. So the block is in the lower legs, and the block has 3 different levels. So you're not going to put it in between the legs on the thin level. You're going to turn it so it's on the next level, and it's not all the way on the biggest. So you're going to turn it to the side like that, and then it goes between your legs. Flex your feet, keep your legs at about hip height so you can look down to see them. And then you're going to imagine that your heels are on a table, and you're going to take your hands onto the side, palms are down. You're going to inhale, let your knees go away from you. Squeeze the block, contract the core, try to flatten the low back, adding flexion and a posterior tilt on your way in. Inhale. Try to hold on to that posterior tilt here to let your legs go away from you. And then exhale, reaffirm that posterior tilt. Flatten that low back into the floor. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Hold your legs out if you can. Squeeze the block. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Very active ankles. Then inhale to bring the knees in. Let's put the feet on the floor. Let's take the block between the knees. Feet are on the floor. Take the hands behind the head. Elbows are out towards the side. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, squeeze the block, contract the core, flatten the low back, and lift the upper body straight up towards the sky. Feel the low ribs moving towards the floor, and then inhale to lower. Exhale, squeeze the block, lift up. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. And the last time you're going to exhale to lift, stay here. Lift your pelvic floor, gather everything in towards the center. Press the belly towards this floor. Try to flatten that low back. Lower ribs are moving towards the floor. Elbows are out towards the sides. Feel that activation in your belly area. Squeeze the block. Notice what you notice. And then inhale to lower all the way down. Let's take the left leg up in the air. Left leg is up in the air and left foot is flexed. Keep your left hand behind your head. Take the right hand on top of the thigh. When we do this rotation, it's the upper chest, the upper quadrant of the upper body that diagonally moves over towards the opposite knee. So you're going to take an inhale here. As you exhale, you're going to lift up. So activate the core. Lower ribs are moving towards the spine. And then you're going to rotate over so that the left elbow points over towards the right knee and the right fingertips move up towards the right kneecap. The right low rib presses towards the floor, maybe trying to flatten that low right side onto the floor. And then you inhale to lower. Exhale, contract the core, slowly lift up, and then move the left over towards the right. Inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Last one. Exhale, you're going to rise. Stay here. Little pulses, trying to get the fingertips to touch the knees, pointing the elbow over towards the knee, trying to get the fingertips up, low rib pressing towards the floor, and then go ahead and come all the way down. That's one of my favorites because it gets a lot of aspects. It strengthens the quadricep, which is supportive for the knee and the hip joint, which are part of the joints that receive the communication from the foot when it comes to balance, wherever you're standing and moving, uneven pavement, stairs, near an edge of something. So it's important to have the joints be healthy because they become part of the balance apparatus of the body. That when you bend a joint, it actually brings in different aspects of balance. So to have the muscles that support those joints be strong is also a part of it. So it's just a total connected package. And we're just breaking it up into pieces right now, focusing on different aspects of what we will need for good balance. Take the right hand behind the head, unbend the right knee so the right leg is up towards the sky. You're pressing into the block. You take the left hand on top of the waist. Take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, start to contract the core, lifting the body straight up, and then diagonal, right chest is moving over towards that left knee. Press the left lower rib towards the floor, trying to flatten that left lower back onto the floor. And then you're going to slowly inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Feel that left waist shorten as you contract the left obliques. When you add that rotational aspect, fingertips are up towards that knee. Inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Squeeze the block. Keep the right foot nice and active. Inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Inhale to lower. Exhale, rise. Stay here. Little pulses. Try to get the left fingertips up towards the kneecap. The right chest is rotating. Right elbow pointing over towards that left knee. And then inhale to lower. Bring your knee into your chest, rocking side to side. So strengthening the core. One more thing before we get up to do a little bit of a challenge, balance challenge, is the bridge pose, which is great for strengthening the posterior chain, the back in that extension position. Take the block between your knees and take the blanket away from the back of the head. Then you're going to try to get the shoulder blades to come closer towards each other. So rocking side to side so the shoulder blades move towards the spine. Walk the feet closer to the body. Squeeze the block so you feel that action. And then let the low back go towards the floor as you lift the pelvis up away from the floor. So don't look side to side here. Keep your gaze straight ahead. Squeeze the block, contract the tushy. and lift the body up. If you'd like to slide the shoulder blades towards each other, you can. If you're able to clasp your hands underneath your body, you could do that, or press the arms into the floor, or bend the elbows, press the upper arms into the floor, pressing the shoulder blades into the back to help lift the heart up towards the nose. Squeeze the block, contract the tushy, push your feet into the floor, lengthen the back neck, and then feel that the body weight is in the upper back, not in the head. Deep breaths. Notice what you notice. Take 3 more breaths here. When you finish that last breath, you want to articulate the spine and come down nice and slow, 1 vertebra at a time. You could come onto your tippy toes, so you could try to get your low back to lengthen, coming into flexion as you lower down all the way. Take the block out to the side, bring the knees into the chest, and then rock onto your side. Opening up your hand on the floor, and you're gonna push yourself up to a seated position, where we'll do a little challenge with balance, starting close to the floor. I always say that when we do these balancing things close to the floor, I always say, well, the good news is really close to the floor, so you don't have far to fall. So I don't know who out there can do this, but I'd like you to, your knees are on your blanket, your toes are flipped under, and I'd like you to come up onto your toes. So you're balancing on your toes. I'd like you to feel all 5 toes touching the floor. So I know people whose knees don't like to bend will not be able to do this. And I just don't know who that is. But for those of you that could try this, I'll just turn to the front so you can see I'm balancing on my toes, on my feet. My knees are bent. So it's a pretty deep hip flexion and knee flexion. And not everybody has that aspect in their body. Feel your feet on the floor and feel the body trying to figure out where it is. You can even add a little bit by taking your arms behind you, in front of you, and over you, adding a little challenge here as your body tries to figure out where it is. And then go ahead and come down. That's a lot of tension in the ankle. And for those of you that are able to come up on that, come up onto all fours. Let's take one leg back, flip the toes under, stretch the calf. And then let's do the same thing with the other side. Take the foot back, stretching that calf. And then we're going to do a plank pose here. Been adding this into all my classes. I'm going to time us for a minute. You may need to come down earlier. Total anterior chain strengthener here. So flip the toes under, bring the feet off the floor. If this is too intense for you, you could bring the lower legs onto the floor, flatten the feet, and be in a modification of a plank. And for those of you that can be in the full plank, stay there. Find length and proper alignment in all the joints. So push all 10 toes into the floor. Make sure your pinky toes are touching and that you're pressing pinky toes under. And then the rest of the toes and the big toes, everything is pressing into the floor. Feel that your feet are pressing so hard that you feel that coming all the way up to the low belly. Press the feet into the floor. Now press your hands into the floor. Press all the fingers, even open your eyes, look down. See the white in the fingers and the red. See all that as you distribute the weight in the hands, and then reach long in your spine from your tailbone to your low back, to your middle back, to your neck. Reach out the crown of your head and push through your heels at the same time. And then let's bring our knees down onto the floor. Come all the way up. Really great way to strengthen a lot of the aspects of your body. We're going to come into a spinal balance. So we just did a lot of that plank, and hopefully the wrists can still do this. Some people have issues with their wrists and it's hard for them to load up on their wrists. We are strengthening our wrists, and that's important because it actually is the number 1 part of the body broken, is the wrist area. So especially when we talk about balance,
a main reason why people are focusing so much on their balance is to not fall. And so here is where we try to stop ourselves if we slip or trip or something. So having this part of your body nice and strong is a very important part of fall prevention and of balance. So I'd like to do a spinal balance. If you'd like to try fists for wrists, you can actually bend your fingers. So you take your hands and you bend them, and then you're on this part, that first joint in between first and second joint, that flat part of your wrist. Or you can stay here, creating that stimulation in the wrist joint so it'll get nice and strong. You're gonna inhale your right leg away from you and your left leg away from you. And you're going to inhale to come up into spinal balance, balancing cat. I hear it called a lot of things. Push your fingertips into the floor. And then if you'd like to deepen this, the balance part, try to lift the left foot off the floor. Contract your core, pressing your belly button up towards your spine. Feel nice and strong in your core as you reach your right leg away and your left arm away. If you'd like to add to this, you could take the left arm out to the left. And then if you'd like to try to take the right leg out to the right, you can add that. And then bring yourself back to center. And then let's switch. Take the left hand on the floor, bring the right knee back. Slide the right hand out, slide the left hand out, and then lift the right hand off and the left leg. So this is the first stage, and you could stay here. This may be where you are, this may be all you need. Push your left fingertips into the floor to distribute the weight there. Then if you'd like, you can bring the right foot off the floor. That'll add quite a bit to you. And remember, you're really close to the floor here, so it's a good time to challenge yourself. Take your right hand out to the side if you'd like. And then if you'd like to bring the left leg out to the left, you can try that as well. And then bring yourself back to center. Bring yourself back. We're going to come into a forward fold puppy dog pose to keep the upper back straight, um, or what else? Extended child's pose. So let the big toes touch each other and let the knees be pretty wide here. Let your hands come wide. So I like to be just off my mat. And then you want the forehead to touch the floor. So right above where the eyebrows are, not where the hair is, right where the eyebrows are on the forehead. So you have your back neck nice and long. Let the forehead touch the floor. Feel the stretch in the low back, feel the stretch on the side body. Take one more breath. And go ahead and bring yourself up. Coming all the way up onto your legs. So I'd like to say that this is the asana aspect, right? The physical practice aspect of yoga. And in the book that is the guidebook for yoga, one of the guidebooks, the Yoga Sutras, there's an 8-limb step process in yoga. There's 195 lines in that book. And out of 195 lines, only 3 of them are on the physical asana aspect of the practice. And what they say, one of the lines is stira and sukha, effort and ease. So we do some of the stronger work, like we did the plank pose and the balancing cat or spinal balance. And then we come into that relaxation of that puppy dog pose. So whenever you practice asana, it's really good to go back and forth between effort and ease. Let's take the, so you're on your left leg. You're going to bring your right leg out to the side. And what I'd like here, now this is a really important aspect to the body for balance. This part of your body down here, the muscles that go along the side of the leg and go over the ankle joint, this is what keeps the leg bone on top of the foot to keep you in this nice linear. So when we talk about alignment, coordination, all aspects of balance, we're going to do this stretch here to stretch the tissue, the communication throughout the body. The toes are pointing forward, and you have the pinky toe edge of the foot is pressing into the floor. So for some of you, you may feel a lot of tightness there. And some people start off with their foot forward. I would love it if you could have your foot coming straight off your body. The flexion is here at the side of the hip joint, not a way that a lot of bodies are moving all the time. So notice what you feel here as you push firmly on that edge, activating the foot and lifting that right arch off the floor. Take the right hand on the leg. This is called gate latch pose or gate pose. Take your hand down alongside your body. You're going to inhale here. When your arm is straight above your head, reach your arm up, root that leg down into the floor. So feel that stretch here. And then you're going to laterally flex your spine over to the right. Contract your core, push your belly button to your spine. Tailbone is pointing down to the floor towards that inner knee joint of that left knee. Feel that stretch, feel all that tissue stretch. It's so important for balance to have the congestion in the body removed so the nerves have a nice pathway to tell the muscles, you better turn on. She's going to fall to the right. You need to move to the left. Whatever that communication is that's needed in the body, take one more breath. And then bring yourself back to center. We're going to go to the other side, bringing the right leg under, take the left leg to the side, and make that nice pointing the foot forward. So your toes are not out to the side. Your toes are pointing forward. So you have a bigger pathway for these muscles to go over that heel. I'd like you to look down and see that heel. And then you could even bring your hand up here to get this hip joint right here to start to bend when it's out to the side. It might feel strange for some of you. And then you're going to take your hand, so your left hand onto your left thigh, take your right palm forward, and then right palm to the side. As you reach up towards the sky, lengthen that right side. Get nice and tall there. Feel that length in the body. Take an inhale here. And then exhale to laterally flex over to the left. Breathing down to your belly. Take one more breath. Really feel that stretch. Laterally flex over as much as you can comfortably. And then inhale to bring yourself back up. We're going to come into a downward facing dog to stretch you on the back of the body. So point the fingers forward. You're going to flip the toes under. Lift your tushy up. Keep your feet pretty wide here. And start to press the heel towards the floor, one heel at a time, trying to feel that stretch in the calf. Another very important aspect to balance is this calf area. I read that 80%, 75 to 80% of the balance receptivity takes place in ankle calf area. So keep this tissue nice and stretched. And then bend the knees. Let's walk our feet back, our hands back to our feet. Flexion at that hip joint, bring your hands on top of your thighs, letting the calibration of the blood pressure happen. Another important thing here, don't let the blood get to the head, and then push your feet into the floor as you slowly raise. Now, depending on what age you are, the older we get wrinkles on the inside, outside. The wrinkles on the inside, in this case with blood pressure, the pliability of your blood vessels to pump that blood from the lower extremities up to the head. So we need to give our body the time to calibrate with that. All right, let's take our stuff off of our mat. And then bring yourself onto your mat. Come to the center of the mat. Have your feet a little bit wider. Let's play with putting our body weight back and forth from side to side. Forward, so that it's the side of your foot you're moving onto. Bring yourself back to the center of the mat. Take one foot to the side, let your body weight go with it, and then come back to center. Take the other foot to the side, body comes back to center. Make sure there's nothing around you. And can you take a foot back diagonally and then forward and then back diagonally and then forward. And we're going to do forward diagonal here. You're going to go forward, load up that foot, and then push yourself back to center. So moving away from center with the body and all of the receptivity, the communication, and then side to side. This time, you're going to go to side, you're going to lift up one foot, and then come back with both feet. Go to the side, lift up that foot so you fully load in that hip joint on the side. Do that again. So you're playing with a little bit now. Now you're going to go to the side, your leg up and around and move it, take it back, up. So go back and forth. Maybe put your foot forward or back. Like give yourself a little challenge here in the joint. So move into areas that when you are loading up a leg, you've got some play going into your body. Then go to the other side. And then bring yourself back. Go ahead, shake your legs out. Coming to stand on one foot, I want to take that ankle joint I was mentioning, how so much of the balance is in the ankle heel area. So you're standing on your foot, you're standing on a balanced position on that standing leg while you point and flex and move your foot in circles in one direction and then the other. And then can you bend the knee joint? See how the upper leg bone stays where it is? So I'm not going like this. I'm not letting this leg bone move. This leg stays here. It's only the knee joint that's moving. And then put your foot in the floor. That's important because this is hip. When this femur bone is going up and down and up and down, that's my hip joint. When I do this, that's my knee joint. And that's going to strengthen hip flexors and quadriceps. Okay. So coming onto the other foot, now you're standing on, I don't know if I mentioned the leg. Now I'm on my right leg, but I don't know if I said that. So point and flex, giving an opportunity for that standing leg to be what was working here. And then the other foot. And then you want just that knee joint to move. And there's a balance standing on that leg. And then bring yourself back to center. Okay. Let's take the block and bring the block between your thighs. Block is between the thighs. I'm going to turn to the side here. You're going to come up slowly onto your calves and lower. You can have your hands on your waist. Feel all 5 toes on each foot. So squeeze the block, lift up from the pelvic floor, press the feet into the floor and lift up. So you press down and you feel this lifting up that happens in the body when you come up onto your calves. Squeeze the block, lift. Take your hands, let the hands be part of this. Squeeze the block, lift. And then one more, let's stay there. Squeeze the block, stay up here, strengthening the calves. Feel all 5 toes on each foot grabbing the floor. And then go ahead and bring yourself down. Take the top of the foot on your toes. For some of you, you may need to be back a little farther and that front knee may need to bend, stretching the top of the foot where a lot of communication takes place for balance. And then do the same thing on the other side. And then bring yourself to a, here, we're gonna do tree pose, which is the traditional pose in yoga. One of the oldest poses, actually, it's even found, in the hieroglyphics. Because a lot of the asana that we practice today, they're not sure how long. So I saw that I kind of went offline a little bit, so I stopped. They say in the early 1900s, the asana portion is captured. So they're not. I've never actually heard a definitive answer. But tree pose is one of the oldest poses there is. So instead of putting our knee out to the side like this, I'm going to have us do tree pose today like Karate Kid, where we lift the leg up. So we get this opportunity to strengthen that quadricep while we're at it. So come onto your feet, toes are pointing forward. And then the foot position is really important here. So let's lift your arches off, put all your weight on your pinky toe edges of your feet, and then feel like you're pushing your arches into the floor. And then lift your arches up, feel yourself pushing into the edges of your feet. See if you could detect that here in the outer hip joint when you do that. When you go in, you'll feel your inner thighs rolling towards each other. There's a softness you feel in the body. And then when you lift up, lift your arches off, you push into the pinky toe edge, you feel that strength coming in. That's the kinetic chain firing up in the body for a proper alignment in the joints where that reception of balance takes place. So you're going to come onto your feet. Let's activate that left foot. So activate the left foot. This is my left leg. It may look like it's right. Activate that left foot. You're on the left pinky toe edge. The left arch is lifting off the floor. Put your hands on your waist. Push your body weight over to your left. Contract your core. Lift up as you lift that right leg into a Karate Kid. So the knee is bent. It's straight out in front of you. You lift it as high as you can. You may only. What's important is don't have your foot back behind your body. Your foot is forward. So if I show you from the side, this is Karate Kid. Either at a 90-90 with the knee and the hip, or if you need to be a little lower, be a little lower. And then press into the left outer edge of the foot. Really press that in. Push the left big toe into the floor. Push the left edge into the floor. Lift that left arch off the floor. Feel nice and tall in your body. Take one more breath. And then slowly come out of that. If you need it to be near a wall, sorry, I don't know if I mentioned that, you could be near a wall to grab onto if you feel like you're coming out of that or falling out of that. Now let's come onto the right foot. Bring your body weight onto the right and really activate that right edge. Lift the right arch off, come onto the big toe, and then lift the left leg up into Karate Kid. Whether you could do 90-90, whatever it is you can do, contracting that core. Press the right foot into the floor, the right big toe edge, lift that right arch off the floor. Feel that pressure on the right pinky toe edge side and feel that length, strength, and notice that the foot, the ankle, notice that communication taking place in the body. And now it's so receptive. We did so much to open up the pathway of that signaling. Take one more breath. And then let's go ahead and come out of that. All right, let me see where we're at time-wise. Okay. Let's do this. One of my favorite things to teach because I love, this is a great one you could do anywhere. We're going to act like we're walking on a tightrope. So you're going to take the left foot behind you. The toes are pointing forward. You're going to bring the right heel right in front of the left toes. So both feet are pointing forward. They're not out to the side. So if you look at me head on, there's this. You wouldn't see the back foot like that or this foot like that. They're both pointing forward. So the left foot's in the back. The right foot is in the front. You're going to bring your body weight onto the front. That feels pretty solid. Then you're going to bring your body weight onto the left foot. Come onto the right tippy toes. So just the big toe is touching. Only the right big toe is touching. And then just notice what you notice here. It's the body cannot figure out. It's harder to figure out here when you're lined up in the center here, where you're off side to side. So there's a little bit more work happening here. And keep your left knee straight for a second. So the left knee is straight and notice what's happening to the ankle and to the foot. That's where most of the movement is taking place. And then what happens when you bend the left knee? Notice how the left knee starts to move as that joint starts to take some of the work of the balance. Now that joint's trying to figure out how to coordinate itself in relationship to whatever you're standing on. One more breath. And then let's come out. Take the right foot back. Bring the left foot straight in front of the right foot. First, you're going to bring your body weight to your left. A little easier in the front. Then you're going to bring your body weight onto that back foot. Come onto your left tippy toe. Just the left tippy toe. Bring your awareness down to your right foot. Look straight ahead. So don't look down at it. I want you to just go there with feeling and sensory awareness of feeling, noticing, seeing with the eyeballs on the feet, seeing with the eyeballs in the ankle, and notice what you notice. And then when you're ready, put a slight bend in that right knee to feel the right knee, noticing what it's noticing. Notice that movement. And then go ahead and come out of that. Shake your feet. We're going to go down on the ground. We'll do a twist to twist out any tension and to wring out the body like you would a rag if it were filled with water. So we're going to do that, and then have your props handy because we'll go straight into our Shavasana from here. So coming down onto the floor, you're going to let your blanket be behind your head. Bring your knees into your chest, and then let's rotate the body over to the right. So let the knees go to the right. Try to keep that left upper back onto the floor. You might need to put something underneath your right knee to get your left shoulder onto the floor. Or you may need to put something between your knees. You could hold on to that left leg. Left arm is to the left. And you just relax here. Take some deep breaths. Twisting always feels so good. Well, for most. Take 3 more breaths here. And then at the end of that breath, you're going to bring your knees one at a time up to center to rotate to the other side, letting your knees rotate over to the left. Keep the right shoulder blade on the floor, right palm up towards the sky, and then hold on to that right knee. Feel that stretch in the right side. You could take your left hand on the top of the right thigh. You could put a block between the legs if you need that. Breathe down to your belly and enjoy the sensation wherever it is you feel it. And then take 3 more breaths here. And then bringing yourself back up to center at the end of that last breath. Bringing yourself back to center. Push your feet into the floor. Lift your pelvis up.
Place your pelvis back down on the ground and then bring your knees into your chest. Preparing for Shavasana. Bring the bolster or whatever it is you're going to do. You can bring a chair for your legs at the chair. You can go up against the wall. Whatever is your preferred choice of Shavasana. Bringing yourself into that relaxation of Shavasana. Govinde Mukande, Udare Apare, Kariyam Kariyam, Nimame Akame, 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 Govinde Mukande, Udare Apare, Kariyam Kariyam, Nimame Akame. So gently begin to deepen the breath. to wiggle your fingers and your toes, rolling your ankles and your wrists, and coming into a bent knee position with your knees into your chest, rocking side to side. We'll close our practice with sound, bringing yourself onto your right side, then using your left hand to help bring yourself up to a seated position.
We'll use the sound M. Listen to that sound vibrating in the throat. So come into whatever is a comfortable seat for you to end your practice. Taking your hands, rubbing your hands together, finding the thumbs to touch the sternum bone, sit nice and tall. Taking a deep breath down to the belly. At the end of practice, we respect and notice the same light or divinity that's in me is the exact same in you. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you'll take some of what we do in class off the mat to practice balancing the body and the mind. I'm not sure who Mighty Joe is. Hello. So I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me. And I'll be back on Saturday for stress reduction. So thank you so much for joining me. And you're welcome, Athena. Oh, really? Yeah, a lot of ballerina stuff, right? Yeah, going up on your toes or like lifting the heels up and stretching the feet, stretching the ankle. So, yeah, keeping the feet very, very loose and mobile so that that reception can come up and down the body for balance. Okay, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in my next class. Thank you. Thumbs up if you like this. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Comments, please. I'd like some comments in the comment section on my videos. All right. Thank you. I'll see you in the next class. All right. Bye-bye.